All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another training session of Cloud Asta's Google Workspace workshops. Today, we will be focusing on just the basics for docs, sheets, and slides, our famous Google editors. And while the title says for end users, really, this is for anybody. Anybody who is using Drive or wants to help others use all the different editors within Drive. So today we're going to be doing things slightly differently. We are going to be doing a lot of demoing and not as much slide decking. So we're going to go and spend probably 5 minutes or so on each of the editors that we've listed here. And if there are any questions throughout, you can feel free to throw them in the chat or save them till the end. And we're going to be having a follow-up session to this in about a month or two. That is going to be more advanced, advanced docs, sheets, and slides, or just beyond the basics. So today is very much just really tipping your toe in the water and trying not to be scared of these platforms. And we can get a little bit deeper into it in a future webinar. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start with docs. So probably the first thing for many folks is, how do I get started at all? How do I create a Google document? So we are on Drive right now. So I've navigated to drive.google.com, and I'm now in Drive, and I want to go ahead and create a new Google Doc. So I'm going to, at the very top left, click a big old new button and click Google Docs. And this is going to create a blank Google document for you. So I'm going to open that up. We're going to create a new doc. Actually, I'm going to pause for 1 second, just so everybody knows what I'm working with here and working off of. And these are resources I'll drop in the chat in a few minutes. The Google Workspace Learning Center has some really amazing and comprehensive learning resources for all of these platforms. So I will be going through a lot of the getting started for each of those products today for docs, sheets, and slides. But there's a lot more information here that we're not going over. And if you or somebody you are working with is trying to make the switch from Microsoft, there are Microsoft switching specific articles in here on how do you move from Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So I highly recommend checking those out. I will drop those in the chat right now, and you can always go ahead and find those later with the Google Workspace Learning Center. All right, so we are back on our first Google document that we have made. It's completely blank. It's untitled. It's not even saved yet because we need to go ahead and start typing something or start giving it a title. So I'm going to start by creating a title for this. So this is a webinar demo document for October 28th. Okay. And now you can see it's automatically jumping. It says it's saved. So the great thing about all of the things in Google Drive, in docs, sheets, and slides, it's automatically saving all the time, assuming you're connected to the web. So it's at its very core, just a text editor and text processing. So I can go ahead and start writing a story. Today, I had 3 cups of tea, and they warmed my heart. And I probably want to give my story a little bit of a title. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my cursor at the beginning, hit return a few times, and add a title. So the story of tea. All right, so now using my amazing novel that I've created here, we're going to go ahead and explore some of our text formatting features. We will add some more stuff here. So I want my title to be titly, not small and kind of on the side there. So there's some things that I can do. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit for us today. I'm going to highlight that text, and there are many different ways that I can really make it pop. So if I wanted to go, you see here, everything is considered normal text by default. And there are different text formatting styles that we can use. So there are default styles for text formats that we can use: title, subtitle, different headers, and so on. So if you wanted to highlight some text and just click title, it'll change lots of different things for you. It could change the size, it could change the bold, it could change the font, it could change lots of different things. So you can go ahead and change the style just by doing that way. Or if you want to like do everything manually, it's totally great. I am saying I want my title to actually be really vague. I want it to be 36. I want it to be bold. And here's where I can change my font. I'm going to make it really fancy. And maybe it should be underlined as well. See, so I have bold, italics, underlined. Let me zoom in just a little bit more for you. And here's where I can change my text color. So if I click on this, I've got a whole big color palette to choose from. Or I can go ahead and hit this and grab a custom color. So I'll make it this deep red. I don't need to highlight it. This would be highlighting my color. I don't need to make it a link. This is where I would make a hyperlink. We can do that in a minute. And some more stuff. This is where we want to add a comment. If you're collaborating, adding comments, and inserting a picture, which we'll look at in a second. But I want to talk more about more text formatting options. Here is where we get our alignment options. By default, everything is going to be left aligned, but I want to click here and make it center aligned. So now I've got it more in the center. And I've got a couple more options in here. I just want folks to see if I wanted to go ahead and make my my whole page be double spaced or single spaced or adding specific paragraphing features, I can do that in here. And if I click my little three-dot menu here, or if I'm zoomed out, it wouldn't be a three-dot at all. I could add in some bullets. I could add in some numbered lists, or I could do some indenting. So let's do some indenting. So I'm going to drop down to my first line here, and a good story is going to start probably with an indent. So I'm going to click at the beginning here, and I'm going to click my little indent, and I'm going to move that in. And you can see it brings it in here and adds a new little indentation rule up here. So that's kind of a very quick overview of some of our text formatting features. Maybe I will add some more stuff in here. So I will say, I'm going to underline or italicize 3 because I think that's a really interesting part of my story. And just because we're doing different things today, I'm going to highlight heart with a light red, just so you could see what that looks like and we can play around with it. I want to go ahead and do a few more things in Docs. I want to add a photo. So I've got this option right here. It says insert image. So I can click this one and I see all of these options, right? So I could upload an image from my computer. I could search on the web. I can insert something from Drive or my photos if I have a specific URL, or I could take a picture of myself and add it in with the camera. You don't want to see me 2 times, so we're good. But I'm going to hit search the web. And now it's going to do a Google image search with licenses that are fair use. So I'm going to search for tea, because that's what we were talking about. This looks really cozy. I'm going to say, oh, great. I'm going to look at that, and that looks great. And I'm going to insert that. It's from Wikimedia Commons. And now I've got this really, really large image that's also accidentally highlighted red. So what I want to do is I want to make this smaller. So I'm going to select this image once. And now I have kind of like our free transform options here with these squares. I'm going to click on any of these corners, and I'm going to bring it into the middle. You can see it's going to keep the ratio, so it's not going to skew it. And I'm going to bring it down so it fits more into my story. And accidentally, it got highlighted because my heart was highlighted. So I'm just going to click and highlight that image. And I'm going to take off those highlights that are happening. Where are my highlights here? Where did you go, friends? Oh, it's because it's this. Okay, great. Great. Awesome. And now I've got my beautiful cup of tea, my beautiful story, and my image. Maybe I'll add 1 or 2 more little things in here. Maybe I also want to link, add a link in here. So maybe I'll say at the end, put more about me. Maybe like a little bit more information about the author. I'm going to italicize that. And I want to make it a link. So I'm going to click my little insert link button up here. And I can add a link here, right? So I want to say, to find more about me, you can go to google.com, which is not really a thing, but that's how we add a link in here. And then you could always go ahead and edit that link if it went in properly, or you want to get rid of the hyperlink, and you can remove it. And we're back to just having our text. And I'm going to do one last thing in Docs, and then I will move on. Inserting tables. So tables will be a really interesting thing for folks. If you want to go ahead and add a table, I'm going to go ahead and just add it way down here at the bottom. If I go back up to this insert button way at the top, if you notice that insert here and format here, they're very much the same things that are on my toolbar, but they're a little bit more in depth. They have more options. So I'm going to go ahead and go insert. And I could see here's my image option. That was the same on my toolbar. And I can go ahead and insert a table. So I'm going to insert a 2x2 table just because I can. And I'm going to move some things around. It's going to be kind of a weird new age story here where the title's here. I'm going to have an image over here. I'm going to put my text here, and I'm just dragging things in here, but you could just say, this is a story about me. And I can go ahead and move things wherever I like. So now we have this 2x2 table that's very simple right now, but probably not, you're going to use it when you're writing a story about tea, but you can go ahead and do lots of funky things with tables in terms of formatting and size and color and all sorts of things that we'll cover in the advanced workshop. Last but not least, and this will also apply for sheets and slides, is how do we print and download this? I'm not even touching how to share documents today with the big old share button up here. We're just going to be talking about how to print it and download it. So if I go to File, and I have two options. I can see print or download, and you can download it as a Word file, as a PDF, as a text file, lots of different things, even as an EPUB. Or you could scroll way down and you can find your print option, and then you can go ahead and print to whatever printer you're connected to. Those menus are going to look very similar in Sheets and Slides. Okay, awesome. Hopefully that gives us a quick little intro into Docs. If there are any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat and I will come back to them. In the meantime, I'm going to switch over to Drive and I'm going to create a new sheet. So I'm going to hit my new button again, and I'm going to create a new Google Sheet. Now, Sheets is probably way underutilized in many, many different companies and fields, but it's so powerful and so flexible, but it can be a little intimidating because of the way that it's just not as user-friendly with as a doc is. You just get in, you start typing. So I have a sheet here. Again, I need to title it in order for me to do something. So I'm going to do webinar demo spreadsheet for October 28th. We'll just do the same title. See, it's automatically saving, and we're all of a sudden we're cooking with gas. So I'm going to start adding some things in here. So maybe I want to set up a sheet with some information about dates, right? So I'm going to or purchases. So I'm going to add something in here. So like on 10, actually, let's do it this way, 10/28, right? So now that's today's date. We have 2 people here in our webinar. I'll count myself, 3. And, in the feature one, in the 11th, let's say we're going to have 50. Let's just be bold with our numbers here for a second. But this is fine. This is good. It's good to keep track of something, but it's not really giving us much information about what these things are because we didn't put that there, right? We didn't say, hey, what are these numbers? We just started adding them in, which is fine. We can go ahead and just add them in and adjust things later. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how we can go ahead and add some headers to this after the fact, because we need to essentially add a row before or above row 1. So what I like to do is if you right click on the row that you want to add or insert a new row before. So I'm going to right click, and you can see I got a couple different options here. So I can cut and copy and paste, which is fine. But here's what we're focusing on today. Is this insert one above. I'll zoom in a little. Well, let me insert. Oh, it's doing me this way. Insert one above. And what this is going to do is it's going to insert a new row above the row that I was on. So now I can say dates and participants, which is great. Now we've got a spreadsheet. We're starting to track some data, and we can go ahead and do some stuff with that. You'll notice that Google Sheets will automatically know when, or at least think it knows when you're talking about dates, right? I only put in 10/28, but I assume that the text formatting should be a date format. So while here it only shows 10/28, it also has it as a full-on date if you need to compare dates later. Okay, so this is fine. This is good. But maybe we want to add dates for a while. So we're going to add some dates for a while. But adding dates two at a time is actually going to be, or one at a time, is going to be really, really redundant. So a really cool trick is if you go ahead and highlight a series of data, right? So like 1028 and 1111, right? Those are 2 weeks apart. If we go ahead and drag that down, you can see that it's kind of extrapolating out those dates. So it already is filling for me. This is 2 weeks from that date, 2 weeks from that date, 2 weeks from that date, and so on and so forth, saving me a lot of time and a lot of energy. And we can go ahead and just fill those in. Okay, that was a cool Sheets trick. I want to go back to our formatting for a second because we kind of skipped over that. So we have this great header, super, but there are a lot of different things we want to do to make this a little bit clearer, right? So you can notice that for a lot of this, the formatting, the text formatting is very similar to when we were in Docs, right? So we have, I can highlight these and I can change the font. I can change the size. Maybe I'll make this larger. I can make it bold. I can strike through. I can do lots of different things. Maybe I'll change the color, or I could change the cell color, which is a whole different ball game. I'm going to get rid of that for a moment, and we'll leave it for now. And then I can also, add more. If I highlight these, I can say, oh, I want to add a border to my cells. So now all of a sudden I have more of a articulated border of all of my cells for the ones that I highlighted. So there's a couple of different ways you could do that. Let me say, oh, I want this dates word to be in the middle, right? Because right now it's over left aligned. So in the same way we did with my title in my document, I'm going to select that cell and I'm going to click my horizontal align and change it to center. And now it's more centered. And this will be really helpful, especially if we make this really wide. Maybe we want to do the same thing with all of our dates. We select all of our dates, click and select. And right now they're default right aligned, but maybe we want them to all be center. Depends on what you want to do. And there's more alignment. You can do vertical alignment, middle alignment if you have a very wide or very tall cell. Let me show you what that looks like. So if I have a very tall cell, so you see right now, this is a very tall cell, and my date is at the very bottom. But maybe I want my date to be in the middle of the cell. So I can go ahead and select this, and it's going to put it in the middle. And that way, maybe that's how I want my format of my spreadsheet to look. Maybe I want it to look something different. And you could play around with lots of different formatting options in here. And there's a couple more things in here that you might recognize we talked about before, like inserting a link. And then we get into some charts and formulas and such. Let me look at my little thing here. I want to show one more thing about formatting, and then we'll do a little intro for formulas. If I wanted to make this a little bit easier on the eye, maybe we end up having a ton of data. Let's extrapolate my participants. Look how many participants I'm going to have by January. It's going to be amazing. We can go ahead and format this in what we like to call alternating formats. So if I select all of the cells that I am working with right now, so all the cells that have data, and I go up to format, this is one of my favorite things. And you see down here, it's called alternating colors. If you select that alternating colors, you get this cool pop out on the side, say, hey, we're going to automatically add a header color and then alternate row colors, making it easier in the eyes. We have all these default styles that you could select from. So I'm going to select this blue one, this green. You can kind of see what they're working with here. And you can tweak it if you want to make it your business colors and so on and so forth, and then just hit done. And now you have this really great thing. And even if I add something new, maybe I'll add a new cell here, it'll automatically keep adding those alternating colors. Very cool, very responsive, very awesome. It makes it a lot easier to digest spreadsheets. Last two things I want to show as just a very, very, very small taste of a formula or a function. This is really where Sheets ends up striving, where you can create formulas to calculate things and react to things and so on and so forth. So I want to calculate how many participants I have had in all of these all of these workshops. So what I'm going to do at the bottom here is I'm going to start with I'm going to in my little cell, I'm going to type equals, and Google Sheets is automatically going to guess at what you're trying to do. So this might pop up with a suggestion, which is really great. You might also have to type them in manually, which is more often the case. And the formula that we're using here is to sum up all of the values in this column. So we see we have a sum here, and I'm going to type that in, and then I'm going to open parentheses, and I'm going to select the first cell, which is that B2 cell. I'm going to type it in just so you can see it again. I'm going to put a colon, and then the last cell, which is saying sum everything from B2 all the way down to B8, and then close that parentheses and hit enter. So now I've got my number of all my total participants for the next couple months. And if I change this to 3,000, that formula will also keep updating. And then last but not least, Sheets also has tabs. So down here, or new sheet within the worksheet, you can go ahead and hit this plus, and you can have multiple sheets within the spreadsheet. So maybe this is where you're tracking data, this is where you're tracking outages, this is where you're tracking finances, so on and so forth. So you can have all this contained in one spreadsheet. All right, there's a ton more to get into with Sheets that we'll do in a couple of months. But if you have any questions in the meantime, throw them in the chat. I want to make sure I leave a couple minutes for slides. So I'm going to go back over to Drive. And now I want to make my new slide. So I'm going to click New. I'm going to go to Slides. And we got a couple of different things in Slides. It automatically comes up and talks about themes. How can we theme up this slideshow that I make it so it's not just black on white text? So if we scroll down on the right side here, you can see a whole bunch of different themes, and they give you different formats and different options, different layouts to work with. Let's go ahead and select this one. Whoa. I'm going to just click that, and it's automatically going to create my title slide. So I'm going to get rid of my little themes box up here. This is going to be my my presentation about tea, because I'm on a tea kick today. Click to add a subtitle. So you see, I'm just clicking in these text boxes that are already created for me. I'm going to click in this one, by Casey. I'm just typing, just like as if I would type in anything. I'm going to click out of that. Oh, and most importantly, I forgot to title it. Webinar demo slideshow, slide deck for October 28th. Great. All right, I got my beautiful opening slide, but I want to go ahead and now add some more information. So over here on the left side, we can see any slides in our slide deck. And you've got a plus button right here to make new slides. So if you just click the regular plus, it's going to create a blank slide. If you click the little arrow, this slide with layout, you can see we have a lot of different layout options that are part of the theme. We have the title slide, a section header, a title with a body, title with 2 columns, title with 1 column, so on and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and select my title with 1 column as an example. This one right here. So now I have some more information. Why do I like tea? See, there are text boxes here that are made for us. They're already formatted with colors and sizes and fonts. And I can just select those boxes and start adding. So I'm going to say, because it is delicious. I'm just going to add some stuff in here. Okay, great. Again, if we want to change our formatting, our text formatting, I'm going to go into this box. I'm going to select some stuff, and I've got all the same text formatting options that I had in all my other editors. So maybe I want it to be green, which makes it really difficult to see. I'll make it brown and bold and larger and so on and so forth. I can play with different things. If you don't like this layout, you want to add another text box, what do? We have this button right here. It says text box. We're going to click this, and we're going to click and drag and say maybe we want to add another text box up here with today's date is October 28th. I don't know. So we're going to add that. Maybe you want to make it sure it's in the center of the screen. What's a good way to get it in the center of the screen? So what I like to do is you take this text box by clicking it once. And again, we have this bounding box that we had for our image. We want to click and drag it all the way to the edge, and click and drag it all the way to the edge. And then we want to center align it. So we're going to highlight this just like we did with our title in our doc, change the alignment, and now it's in the center. That way we create a new text box, we add in what we want, and we're good. Let's get some more content in here. So we want to insert an image. So we have our friendly little insert image button. It looks the same as it did in docs. I'm going to search the web. I'm going to find T. Got a different image this time. Let's get this one. That one looks great. Insert that image. Beautiful. It's nice and big, taking up a lot of space. And we can have a nice image in there. Maybe you want it to be larger. We can click it once, make it larger, make it smaller, whatever you want to do, move it around. Lots of different slide layout options you can explore as you get going. Maybe it's too much. You don't want all of this image. You want just a part of this image. How do you edit it? If we click right here, this crop image button, what we can do is now all of a sudden you notice the little box around it changes. It's a little bit different. So now what we can do is say, I want to crop off the bottom. And then if I click away, I just crop that out a little bit. So maybe now this size, this shape fits my slide a little bit better because it's more of a rectangle shape rather than more of a square shape. So cropping images could be really helpful as well. And along the same lines of inserting an image, I'm going to move this image over to the side. We can insert videos. So if I go up to insert at the top here, you can see I also have video. And the cool thing about inserting videos into slides is that they can be playable right in there, right? So I can search YouTube, or I can add a URL directly from YouTube, or I can insert a video that I have in Drive. I just search for T. Again, we're just on that. Just add something in there, right? I select it, I hit play, select, and that gets right in there, and it can be playing or play when we go. Let's see. Okay, great. We talked about moving some stuff around. What I want to add, maybe I'll add a closing slide for a second. I know we're towards our end here. Here's our closing slide. Thanks for listening. I just added a new slide, but maybe I want to move some stuff around. I can click on any of these slides and click and drag them and change the order of any of our slides just by clicking and dragging. Or if I really like this slide layout, I can right click on it and duplicate it. Now I have two of them, and I can go ahead and just change the image or just change the text, and I have that there. Last but not least, it's really important when giving a presentation is using this area down here with the speaker notes. So maybe I, as a speaker, want to have some notes attached to my slideshow, but I like tea because it is warm and delicious. Ask me more questions about it. That's what I'm going to say when I'm presenting and I'm showing off this slide. And you can add speaker notes into all the slides. And when you present, you can go ahead and hit present, and you hit the side arrow and hit presenter view, and that will allow you to view your speaker notes. Again, there's a lot more in slides that you can play with, including shapes, transitions, layouts, and all sorts of things. But we want to give you just the basics to get started. And as I said in the docs one, if you were to go to File, you can download this as a PowerPoint, as an image, PDF, or you can print it in the same way that you could print a doc. So that is a very quick overview of slides, sheets, and docs. And hopefully that gives everybody a little bit of an idea. Again, I was going a lot off of the Google Workspace Learning Center materials, which are really, really super. And if you are someone who is nervous about switching over from Microsoft products, there is also more information there about how to switch from Microsoft on Google already. So that is going to wrap up this portion of the webinar. I wanted to open it up to questions, but before I do, I just want to talk a little bit about our next one, which is going to be in 2 weeks, and highlighting the best new Google Workspace features released in September and October. There are lots of new interesting things happening, and we want to share them with you as we enter the winter season. So we hope you'll join us for that. Look for registration links on our website very soon, but we'll hope to see you in 2 weeks. And I'm going to close out our recording for today, but I hope you got something out of it. If you have any questions, please email us at webinars@cloudasta.com.